So there's a small YouTube channel named Hooters, and they run a small little restaurant chain that some of you may not have heard of. It's called Hooters. Now, I briefly touched on these restaurants in my Piper Raquel video that I uploaded a little bit ago, but basically, for those of you guys who actually legitimately don't know what Hooters is basically a restaurant that is almost entirely, in my opinion at least, entirely based on hot women dressing in tank tops and booty shorts, serving customers and using their, feminine, fertile appeal. And that sounded so freaking weird. But I'm keeping it in there anyways because, apparently now I'm an incel, I guess. So I'm just going to throw that in there. I'll just creep you guys out. But anyways, the whole reason why I'm actually making this video is because I just want to go on a rant about these types of restaurants in general. Because now that I'm 18, I'm starting to see a lot of advertisements, things that I would categorize at least, called Gooner Restaurants, where basically they depend almost entirely on, well, not entirely on, but they primarily base their marketing and appeal to the restaurant itself through its waitresses and, the waitresses' looks. Now, keep in mind, everything I say is just my opinion. Don't take everything I say as fact. If you want to know something, then do your own research and come to your own conclusions. I'm just here to talk about my opinions. And also on top of that, please do not harass the people that I talk about in my videos or people that you see in my videos. I do not condone harassing. If you harass people, you're not a part of this community. I'm just here to talk about my opinion on Gooner Restaurants. So with that being said, let's begin. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, which to be fair, I do sound like a lunatic right now, let me just give you a brief rundown real quick. Let me break it down for you. So basically, whenever I say Gooner Restaurants, I'm referring to those types of establishments, not even just restaurants, but it could be bars, it could be, taverns. I don't even know if taverns exist anymore, but just some place that sells consumables, where they force their employees, whether that be waiters, waitresses, cooks, janitors, cashiers, I don't know, but they have those employees dressed in a certain uniform that's supposed to make them physically appealing to a certain extent. And I have a lot of problems with this, and this is primarily because I am probably still like a very new hatchling adult. It's only been a few days since I actually just legally turned into an adult. So let me just tell you why I personally think that those restaurants are kind of disgusting. Because in my opinion, at least, I don't want to think about the looks or attractiveness of a certain girl. From my point of view, it could be like a guy or a girl, for anyone really. But in my point of view, at least, I don't want to see a half-naked woman while I'm eating. It feels kind of gross in my opinion because you're just thinking about having sex, and at the same time, you're like thinking about the body odor of having sex while eating. That is such a disgusting experience in my opinion, and I don't understand how people can actually like these types of restaurants or establishments in general. I just have such a big disgust with those. Not only that, let's really think about this for a moment here. Why are they dressing up these people in certain ways? I'm primarily seeing this in women, but I'm not going to deny that this is also not part of like a men's issue thing. There are also men who are pretty much Hooters waitresses in different establishments too. But I'm just saying, like, for all genders, but for all intents and purposes, I'm just going to say woman because I'm a guy, and from my perspective, I am attracted to women. It just feels really weird to me that you're dressing up women or men in this outfit, and then you're just having them go out there. It feels like you're trying to just get people to go in, not for the food, but for those people. And in that sense, it kind of feels like a brothel. I'm not saying that there's any sexual activity being performed in those establishments, but I'm just saying it feels like you're trying to use these people and their attractiveness to exploit these certain types of people that are just really interested in that. And sure, everyone consents at the end of the day, but I have a problem with it because you're mixing food with physical human contact in that sense, That just feels kind of weird. Like, you shouldn't be doing these. You shouldn't have to have an establishment where you're using people's looks to attract the people instead of the food. Isn't the whole point of a restaurant to serve good food? If you are a restaurant and you're not serving good food and you're relying on the attractiveness of your employees, that just sounds like a brothel to me. And even putting aside my personal disgust with those types of establishments, wouldn't you have to discriminate against certain people and like not hire them at all? And yeah, I get the idea that you're supposed to look good in a job interview, but at the same time, if an employer is not attracted to that employee, then that employer is less likely to hire that employee in order to fit in with their whole business motto. That is wrong on so many levels. Can you imagine just the amount of lawsuits that would happen just because of the ridiculous amount of discrimination there? It's insane. And on top of that, what if the employer was into something that was completely different from societal norms? That would seem a little bit weird, and hopefully they aren't hiring people under the age of 18, otherwise there's going to be quite a few eyebrows raised towards those establishments. And can you even imagine the amount of lawsuits that would be happening because of the horrible working environment, presumably, that allows the customers to look at their employees in certain ways? That sounds pretty weird. And yeah, I get the idea that you're supposed to be working pretty bad jobs in order to get to, good jobs. But at the same time, nobody should be in an environment where the customers are constantly looking at them and oogling at them in such a way that would definitely, at the very least, put a toll on some mental stability. So yeah, I mean, that's about it. That's all I really wanted to say. I just wanted to go on a quick rant about these types of establishments real quick, because if you're going to open up a restaurant, you better open up a restaurant with the intent to serve food, and eye candy is not food. I'm talking about like steaks, I'm talking about like salads or like sides, fries, sundaes, whatever. Be an ice cream parlor for all I care. Be like a candy shop or something. C's Candies, I don't know. Something that isn't just entirely dependent on your employees dressing up attractively in order to attract customers. That's not how it should go. You should have creative marketing, something like that. And if you don't have the money to do all those things, then don't open up a business at all. Like, you shouldn't have to use sexual appeal or just attractiveness in order to attract customers. That's not how it should work. You should open up a restaurant to serve food. So yeah, I mean, that's about it. That's all I really wanted to say. Overall, I just wanted to crash out for a little bit. I hope y'all have a good day, and bye.